The issues affecting you. Revealed, explained, discussed. Now on WGAL 8 in Focus.
Hello, I'm Susan Shapiro. The Northern York County School Board voted down a proposal for what is called an after-school Satan Club. The club is billed as a non-proselytizing alternative to current religious after-school clubs, but parents and others in the community didn't see it that way.
All the line that we need to draw for the sake of our children.
Most people who spoke at the school board meeting opposed a parent's request to have an after-school Satan Club at Northern Elementary School. The club would be based on the teachings from the Satanic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts. The organization's website says the club is meant to teach students about rational and scientific ways of thinking, not a devotion to Satan.
If this was the Truth and Reason Club from the Society for Truth and Reason, we probably wouldn't all be here. It wouldn't be much of a discussion. But the fact that we have a connection with a religious entity that offends a lot of people in here because they don't think that Satan is connected with truth and reason.
Many took issue with the age group and the name After School Satan Club.
Yeah, elementary kids are going to ask the big questions. Junior high kids are going to ask the big questions. But the place for those answers is with the parents.
I did a brief research on what Satanism stands for, and just based off of what I can read here, it says Satanism is a group of ideological beliefs based on Satan. So that makes me raise my eyebrow a little bit. If it's not a club that is centered by Satan, then why is it called the Satan Club?
And the name, I have to say, the name is just, I think, only to just somebody needs attention. And I refuse to say the name because I'm not giving him any credit.
Some expressed concern about the school's reputation.
If you allow this group to happen, and with the word Satan, you're going to damage the reputation.
Others offered their own solution.
So to be consistent, I believe that all religious clubs for elementary, maybe even junior high a little bit, should be off campus, should be put together by the parents.
In the end, the board voted 8-1 to deny the application for the club. Was the board within its rights, or did it violate the group's right to free speech? We'll talk with the chief legal officer of the Pennsylvania School Board Association, the co-founder of the Satanic Temple, and the parent who proposed the after-school Satan Club. Tonight, we put religious organizations in schools in focus. Joining us now is Stuart Nade, the Chief Legal Officer with the Pennsylvania School Board Association. Thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Just briefly, what does the association do for school boards?
Well, the Pennsylvania School Boards Association is a voluntary association of public school systems and directors across Pennsylvania. We provide advocacy on behalf of public education. We provide an array of services to school directors and school administrators and the school districts themselves, including training, educational programs, and as well as services like relating to district policies and compensation studies and superintendent searches. There's a whole variety of searches or services that we do, and among them, for example, are informational services about legal issues. And so I have an in-house legal team that we work with local counsel around the state and help them brainstorm issues that they're advising their school clients about, as well as talking directly to school administrators and school directors about the questions that they have that relate to legal issues.
Obviously, this is a big question, and the Northern York County School District had a big question. Was the school board in this case in its right to deny the after-school Satan Club eligibility?
I believe so. There are a number of, there were a number of reasons that I understand were provided to the parent who requested this. But typically speaking, one of the things that we do educate school boards about is when you have these types of activity periods where students can engage in non-curriculum related activities, that once you open that door, you really can't turn a group away that meets the other requirements simply because you have an issue with, you have a problem with their point of view. The difficulty for school boards, of course, is that Members of the public don't always know when the school board may not have a choice about something like that. When the unfortunate thing is what school boards and their school board members would prefer is not to be dragged into culture wars and be able to focus on providing a world-class education for the kids in their district.
Why do you think they were within their rights in this case?
Well, there were a number of issues, as I understand it, with this particular club. It's hard to know exactly what to make of the information. Like, for example, the district doesn't have any other religious groups. So, for example, on the website of the Satanic Temple, which sponsors these programs, they say they don't have any interest in establishing a local group where there is no chapter of the Good News Club, which is the one that they tend to like to go toe-to-toe with. So it's hard to understand why, in this case, they became interested in the Northern York School District, because there isn't a Good News Club there.
But there is a Joy L Bible Adventure Club, which meets not on school grounds and after school.
Right. Not a district program, not something the board would ever have to approve. I understand that is something that students are pulled out of school by their parents to attend under a statute in part of the public school code that we operate under in Pennsylvania. Districts are required to allow students' parents to pull them out of school to go to attend religious instruction somewhere else during a part of the school day, and that's called release time. The concept of release time has been around since the early 1970s, and it's been embedded in statute since about that time in Pennsylvania. So public schools, it's not something that they have to get school board approval for. Really, parents just provide a written request to the superintendent's office, and the superintendent, and then they follow up with a report as to what the activities were that the student attended.
Well, would the After School Satan Club apply to release time?
Absolutely. They could, if kids wanted to go to that under the release time statute, they could do that, and that wouldn't require board approval. But it wouldn't be a part of the student activity period, which is what I understand them to be requesting. The other issue, I think, that I understand that the school board, the school district in this case, had was these clubs are supposed to be student-led, student-initiated. The materials of the After School Satan Club say very clearly they're not student-led. These are basically run by adults who the Satanic Temple claims to vet and check out and train and all of that sort of thing. And the other issue I understood was there was just not more interest than this one mother, possibly this one student. Question as to whether or not it truly is student initiated.
Thank you so much for clearing some of that up. We appreciate you being here.
Sure.
And coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll talk to the co-founder of the Satanic Temple.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
I'm joined now by Lucian Greaves, the co-founder of the Satanic Temple, which is based in Salem, Massachusetts. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
What is the Satanic Temple?
The Satanic Temple is the largest IRS-recognized non-theistic religious organization based in the United States, but with congregations worldwide. And we teach people to respect values regarding personal sovereignty, science is the arbiter of truth claims, and a series of humanistic values.
You also run these after-school Satan clubs in other parts of the country and tried to establish one in the Northern York County School District. Why call it an after-school Satan club if it has nothing to do with Satan?
Well, Satanism to us is important to our sense of personal religious identity. It's something we really do identify with. And even though we created the after-school Satan clubs as an alternative to religious after-school clubs that are specifically made to proselytize to children, we don't include items of religious opinion in our curriculum, and we don't work to convert anybody or proselytize to them. But we do want people to know that we're the Satanic Temple. These are the types of things we do, and to disabuse them of the illusions they have of what self-identified Satanists are. So when the Satanic Temple runs an after-school Satan club, we feel it's our right, and it's the honest way to go about it, I think, to let that affiliation with us be known.
The superintendent in the district wrote a letter where he said that Samantha Groom was being provocative with this name.
No, it's the name of our club, and frankly, it's not up to the superintendent to decide what the name of our after-school club should be. The Supreme Court ruled in 2001 in the case of news clubs versus Milford Middle School, and I forget which state it was, that religious clubs, I believe Connecticut. Religious clubs have every right to operate in the same way as secular clubs. And when they made that ruling, they made the argument that the public facilities are a limited public forum and therefore stand outside of most of the school district's authority. And so to that end, the school board really doesn't have a role in determining which viewpoints they'll allow to use the facilities and which ones they will not. The school district's function at that point is more administrative, in one of assigning us a space in which we can do our curriculum in a time at which it's available that we can use those public facilities. So the school board vote to decline to allow the after-school Satan Club was grossly inappropriate from the context of constitutional law.
The school district says it doesn't have any other religious clubs that meet on school grounds. That has the Joyelle Bible Adventure Club meets off of school property.
Yeah, that's a distinction that doesn't really matter for anything at all. To me, it's more egregious when a religious club is allowed to come and collect children during the day and bus them off-site for religious instruction. And it was implied to us that if we were willing to do this, that this might be more acceptable in some way, which of course I know is false. We are perfectly capable of doing that if need be. But the fact of the matter is we don't have to. If they have any after-school clubs at all, they're not allowed to treat religious clubs any differently. So it doesn't matter if the Joyelle Club is doing something differently than we are. We just have the same right to equal access to the facilities as any club would.
All right, well, Mr. Greaves, stay with us. We'll continue our conversation and find out what kind of action the Satanic Temple may take in this case.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
We continue our conversation with Lucien Greaves, the co-founder of the Satanic Temple based in Salem, Massachusetts. The temple sponsors the after-school Satan clubs and has a few around the country. And one was trying to be established in the Northern York County School District. Thanks again for being here. The school board told Samantha Groom, who proposed this idea, that she wasn't prepared and that also no children other than her own wanted to take part in this club. Were those good enough reasons to turn it down?
Those weren't even legitimate questions for the school board to ask. So long as we have our liability insurance, we have our curriculum, and we have our volunteers, and we meet the standards within the parameters of their limited public forum, it's their job to give us the space and the time to run those clubs. It's ridiculous for them to say that there was no interest among children when we weren't even allowed to circulate permission slips. Samantha Groom did ask at one of the school board meetings what the minimum requirement is for children engaging with these clubs to be noted beforehand as to move the proposal forward. And they refuse to answer the question. So that's just pretext. It's viewpoint discrimination. They don't like us because we're the Satanic Temple. And I think if people in York County are concerned about self-identified Satanists running an after-school club, well, for one thing, they don't need to send their children to it. But for another thing, I would hope they would consider how it might be a greater evil to allow the school board to dictate parameters upon free religious expression.
What action will the Satanic Temple take in this case?
Oh, we will sue and we will win. This is established constitutional law. The school board did everything it could to make it impossible for them to win their case, including saying that if we took Satan out of our name, that our prospects of approval would be much greatly improved. on the record and throughout all of this controversy, they've openly displayed religious animus. And again, I can understand that some people in the community are concerned, but they should also be concerned at government agencies trying to take this kind of authority to dictate freedom of conscience.
But of course, just quickly, there were many people in the community who stood up and didn't want this club in their school district. Did they not have that right?
They have every right to not want to engage with it, but they don't have a right to tell us we don't have equal access to a limited public forum. They don't have to send their children again. And there's the Bible Teaching Club if they want to do that. And it's because there were fights won in court to allow for Bible clubs in schools that we can have after-school Satan clubs as well. And the after-school Satan clubs are offered as an alternative. So, I mean, if you want one, you have to have the other. You have to be willing to play on an equal playing field.
Mr. Greaves, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll speak with Samantha Groom, who proposed the after-school Satan Club in the district.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
I am joined now by Samantha Groom. She's a parent in the Northern York County School District who proposed the after-school Satan Club. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Why did you want this club in the district?
Well, it started off with advertisements I was receiving for the Joyelle Bible Adventure program that it's a local church that picks up kids and provides their transportation themselves. They pick up kids after lunchtime and bus them to a local school for Bible study for about an hour. And through research, I found out that that's completely within their rights, and the only thing I could do was provide my community and school a choice, an alternative, and bring some balance, bring another federally recognized religious organization in that could provide an enrichment activity for kids.
What did you see as this club providing for children?
Actually, the club is fantastic. I fell in love with it when I saw their curriculum. It's kind of two parts. There's scientific problem solving and science experiments and crafts, and then there's also an element of teaching kindness and respect and tolerance, which is also, it's a really beautiful program.
Did you expect this kind of backlash?
I expected ruffled feathers, but I didn't expect the club to get denied, and I did not expect some of the backlash, like online comments. And
I was going to say, what did you experience?
An array of online comments from, you know, they don't want Satan advertised to their children, to I need driven out of town, burned at the stake, lead filled in my body, like all kinds of threatening sounding comments online.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. Is it the name that people just didn't like, or do you think they misunderstood? How did you see what happened?
There is some misunderstanding. It's definitely the name that throws people off. But again, it's twofold. For the Satanic Temple, it's part of who they are, and they're proud of that, so they don't want to shy away from that. And then part of it, I feel, if I would have called it by any other name, and then parents found out down the road that it was sponsored by the Satanic Temple, I thought that would be more misleading and disingenuous, so I wanted to be upfront from the get-go.
The board has said, at least they've told me, you weren't prepared, and also that no one expressed interest in this club, hence the reason some of them voted it down.
Yeah, I was a little upset that they thought I was unprepared, because I'd worked on this for months, and I had lots of input, and I was invited on the 12th to present my club, and I presented my club, and the board only wanted me to dispute the points in the superintendent's denial letter, which I felt weren't relevant to the law, and I didn't feel like it was my place to tell them their scope of authority. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want an argument. I just wanted to present my club. And I offered to follow up in an email after to explain all of those points, which I did do.
Do you feel you were treated unfairly?
I do. I feel like if it was any other kind of club sponsored by any other religious organization, it may have gone differently.
And you have a child and stepchildren who were in the district, and you wanted them to participate in this club, and you're not interested in them taking part in the Joyelle Bible Club, is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. They wanted to participate, my daughter and my stepsons. I had other parents in the district reach out to me, and they wanted to participate in the program, but they didn't want to help start it up because of jobs or community influence. They didn't want to put their names out there. So then I didn't want to put their names out there to the board either. So I didn't give a lot of names. And we have a policy that there's a probationary period, a 90-day probationary period for clubs, which is where I thought I would find out my interest and garner more interest, because that's when I'd be able to distribute materials and information. But I didn't even get to that point, and I wasn't going to solicit parents without the approval of the school, so.
The Satanic Temple is taking action, legal action. Do you support that?
It's unfortunate. It's not the direction I wanted to go. I worked for months to try to avoid that, but after last Tuesday, I definitely feel additional intervention is needed.
Well, Samantha, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We did reach out to the school superintendent and the school board to come on the program. The school district solicitor told us we do not comment on pending litigation. We did obtain letters written to Samantha Groom by the superintendent and the board. The board said your failure to present the board with any interest in your proposed club other than your own reinforces our conclusion that your application lacks the thoughtfulness and preparation necessary to establish an after-hours club for elementary school children. Thank you for joining us for WGAL 8 in Focus. For all of us at WGAL, I'm Susan Shapiro, and join us again next Saturday night at 7 o'clock for WGAL 8 in Focus, right after NBC Nightly News.